Ever catch yourself scrolling through crypto news and feeling a little uneasy? Like, what if this whole Bitcoin thing just implodes?
Well, it's definitely a thought that crosses a lot of people's minds, especially with all the volatility we've seen.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going deep on this excerpt we found. It's called What Happens If Bitcoin Crashes to Zero?
Ooh, that's a pretty loaded question, isn't it?
Absolutely. But I think it's an important one. We're going to explore those ripple effects, those hidden connections between Bitcoin and, well, pretty much everything.
It's kind of amazing when you think about it, just how much Bitcoin has woven its way into our world. Finance, tech, even global politics.
It really is. So let's just get right into it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the financial fallout. This article, it doesn't sugarcoat it. We're talking trillions of dollars gone. Poof.
It's a staggering amount, and it would send shockwaves through the entire financial system.
Right. Even massive institutions like MicroStrategy,
Yeah.
they've bet big on Bitcoin. I mean, they've made it a core part of their treasury strategy.
And if Bitcoin crashes, well, that strategy kind of goes up in smoke, doesn't it?
To put it mildly, it really makes you wonder, even if you're a true believer, how much exposure is too much?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or, in this case, the trillion-dollar question. And the impact wouldn't be limited to just a few big players.
Oh, definitely not. Think about everyday people using Bitcoin, businesses accepting it. What happens to those transactions if Bitcoin suddenly becomes worthless?
It would be chaos, pure and simple. And then you've got governments holding Bitcoin as a reserve asset. Some countries are actually considering this.
Wow, yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. What would that do to global economies?
Well, let's just say it wouldn't be pretty. But beyond the economic fallout, we have to think about the impact on trust, public trust in cryptocurrencies as a whole.
Right, if this revolutionary technology goes belly up, wouldn't that make people hesitant to embrace anything blockchain related?
Absolutely. I think we could see a real chilling effect on innovation. Projects advocating for blockchain adoption, things like decentralized finance, they could lose all legitimacy.
Like a technological winter for blockchain.
Hmm.
And then, of course, whenever there's chaos and panic, there are always those who seek to profit from it.
Unfortunately, you're right.
This article, it talks about a potential surge in cybercrime. Scammers targeting people who've lost their money, these fake saviors promising to recover funds.
It's a really dark side of a potential crash. And it's something we need to be prepared for. Education and awareness are going to be crucial.
For sure. But it's interesting, while a lot of people would lose out big time, there might be some unexpected winners too.
Oh, absolutely. There are always those who benefit from disruption, even if it's negative disruption.
So who are we talking about? I'm guessing traditional financial institutions might see a resurgence, people flocking back to stability.
You nailed it. And I think you could also see governments using this as an opportunity to push their own digital currencies, those CBDCs we hear so much about.
Right, central bank digital currencies. They'd suddenly look a lot more appealing if the alternative is a volatile, unregulated system that just imploded.
Exactly. We might also see a flight back to traditional assets, stocks, commodities, maybe even good old-fashioned cash.
So let's get real here. Is a complete Bitcoin crash to zero actually likely?
Well, the article lays out four key factors that would have to happen. First, major economies like the US or China would need to outright ban Bitcoin.
Okay, so a regulatory ban. What else?
Second, a superior technology would have to emerge, something that makes Bitcoin completely obsolete.
Interesting. So tech obsolescence, what are the other two factors?
The third one is a mass liquidation event. The whales, the big holders of Bitcoin, would have to dump their holdings all at once.
Wow, that'd be like a coordinated attack.
In a way, it would be. And finally, the network's security would have to be compromised, so miners, those who verify transactions and secure the blockchain, abandon it.
So a perfect storm, basically. Honestly, considering how resilient Bitcoin has been so far, a complete crash seems pretty unlikely.
I tend to agree. But even if a total collapse isn't realistic, I think exploring this scenario is valuable. It forces us to think about what a more regulated, less speculative crypto future might look like.
Yeah, that's a really good point. A future focused more on utility and real-world applications, less on hype and get-rich-quick schemes.
Exactly. Because, let's face it, every innovation has its risks and rewards. It's up to us to navigate those carefully.
So for our listeners out there, what does this all mean? I think it really underscores the importance of a balanced approach to crypto. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Diversification is key, and you need a solid investment strategy. And be prepared for volatility. Crypto is still a relatively young market, and it's going to have its ups and downs.
For sure. But this deep dive, it goes beyond just investing. It challenges us to think critically about emerging technologies, the potential impacts, both positive and negative.
And to engage in these conversations to help shape the future we want. Because these technologies are here to stay and they're going to continue to evolve.
So here's a final thought-provoking question for everyone to consider. If a crash forces the crypto world to shift its focus to real-world solutions, could it actually lead to a more stable and beneficial adoption of blockchain technology?
It's a fascinating question and one that deserves further exploration.
It definitely does. And that's a wrap for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
Until then, keep exploring.